Hello there friends, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making a light up card and we have a lot of products we're using, so let's talk about them. This first one is our Dainty Ghost die. It's new. I just love it so much. The little doily bit is just cute. We also have our Halloween sentiments. We have our one light, so we're going to be making a one light card. Love these lights, you know that. We also have our Spooky Silhouettes stamp set. It does have a matching die that you can get separately. I'm not going to be using that today, but this silhouette stamp set is fabulous. I also have my Modern Embossed A7 dies because I'm going to be making an A7 and I can't seem to make one without using these layering dies. We also have our Clean Cut circles. This is set B. I just need one of those smaller circles. And then I've got some soft white vellum along with our rip and stick paper. So we're going to add those together to get our ghost all cut out and everything. All right, so you can see I've got a bunch of inks lined up there on the side. I'm going to show you, that's how I chose my colors, doing it on the color palette inside our sketchbook. I am loving, loving, loving that sketchbook. As you saw, I had all of my blending buddies all lined up there with their colors. Loving the little coordinating color tab that you can get for your blending buddy. This first color that I'm using is called Screamin' Green. And then we're bringing in some various distress inks. I just thought this color combo would go really well together. That next one is Squeezed Lemonade. And we're blending that on top, and then we'll come in with a little bit more of our Screamin' Green to make sure that those are blended. But that Screamin' Green, I just felt like I had to have that as my lower part. Not only for kind of grass, but because it is so neon. I love it. All right, the next color is some Worn Lipstick. And then we'll blend that into our Squeezed Lemonade. That Squeezed Lemonade is going to kind of give a little bit of an orange color. So that's what's fun about blending up these colors a little bit. And don't worry about getting a perfect blend because we're going to do some splatter on this later, and I feel like splatter just covers a multitude of imperfections, if you want to call it that. And you also do need to give your inks a little bit of time to kind of settle, if that makes any sense. So it might look a little splotchy at first, but once that color kind of dries into your paper, it's not quite as splotchy. That final color is Villainous Potion. I am kind of obsessed with that right now. That purple is just this deep, beautiful purple, almost with like a hint of blue to it, I guess. That, I don't know, it's so deep. I love it. And then I'll blend back in with some more of that Worn Lipstick. And I do have some black stood up there, but we're going to wait until after we've done all the rest of the stuff to this background before we do that. Well, almost everything. So I'm going to put this into my Misty. And I've pulled out one of the silhouette images. I am going to need to move this over. Yes, I'm even using a little bit of mint tape to make sure that that stays down. We've got 2 magnets just in case I need to stamp this again. But we'll close the door of the Misty, and I'm going to bring in some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. It is a pigment ink, so it's nice, crisp black, and it will stamp beautifully over the top of these colors because I wanted it to be nice and black. So I'm just using this cute little tool that one of y'all had given me, and love it. That worked out great. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in some of the other images and we'll just build up our little scene back there. Once I get all of those images on there, whether it be tombstones or bats, then we'll bring in our pigment ink one more time and ink the trees up and all the rest of it, and then we can stamp that down, and that is going to then not complete, but it'll complete the little scene of us stamping. And you've got a little cat on there. It's just so cute. I love it. Okay, so we'll pull that out. Next, I'll bring in my A7, my Modern Embossed A7 die, run that through our die cutting machine. And then this is where I'm going to bring in that black soot. Now that I've got this die cut out and ready, because I didn't want to do the black soot and then end up cutting some of that off. Then we'll just lightly blend that on the edges. The best way to do this is to start from the outside and just kind of start rubbing on your mat or whatever you're using so that you don't get too much in the way of blending lines, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to blend that on there, and I love how this is turning out. But I have to do splatter. I just can't not do splatter. So I'm bringing in my Trinity Gold palette, and I'm going to use the silver to make it look like stars in the background. And again, if you have some blotchiness in there with your inks, this will cover that up a little bit. It's going to detract your eye at least. And look at that. That's so shimmery and beautiful. It just makes my heart happy. So we got to let that sit off to the side to dry. And I did already have this die cut out. So this comes from the Halloween Sentiments. We did spooky and sweet. I did the background in white and the words in black. And then I used some crafty glue friend along with a reverse tweezers to make sure that I was able to put everything down where I wanted it. But this little Halloween Sentiment set is wonderful. I think it's so cute. The font is wonderful. Next up, we're going to cut out our ghost, but in order to do that, I wanted to do it out of vellum. So I've got some rip and stick paper. And if you know much about vellum, you will know that vellum will show any sort of adhesive that you use. So I am going to just take my vellum and adhere it right down to this rip and stick paper. And I'm going to have a little bit left over on the edges, and I don't want to waste any of that. So I'm going to put that release paper right back down on top of the rip and stick paper, and then I'll bring in my guillotine trimmer and trim off what's left that can still be used. So this way I've got little strips of rip and stick paper that I can use for other projects. So just making sure that I've got that lined up. And then we can save those pieces for later. We'll put that back in with our rip and stick packaging. Okay, so here we have our little dainty ghost. Like I said, just looks like a little doily ghost. It just makes me happy. And I made a sample earlier where I cut it out of some like floral paper. So it almost looked like you were using grandma's floral sheets to make this little ghost. Oh, it made me so happy. And I'm using my pickup stick to get the little bits out of the doily pieces. You know, the stick part itself is great for that. And then the other end is wonderful because it is like a little wax piece that can pick up all your little embellishments. So I did cut this out twice because I want to double this up because the vellum itself, I wanted it to be a little bit thicker. It'll still be see-through, believe me. And I found the easiest way to line this up was actually at the most detailed part first. So I'm going to start with the doily part at the bottom. With all of our cute little fringe. We'll line that up and then we'll press that down. And yes, the die did a great job of putting in the sheet impressions as well. Just love it so much. And I'm actually going to hang on to the release paper because why not? It's this shiny little ghost. You can use it on another project. So we'll put them away or put those away. And then we need to bring in our background. And I'm going to mark where I want the ghost's face to be because that's where the light is going to end up being. So I'll just take a little pen, just a little dot on there. And then I'm going to bring in our clean cut circles, set B. Set A would probably work fine too. And I'm going to use the second smallest one. And we're just going to put that right over where I put the little dot. And we'll run that through our die cutting machine and we'll have a hole in our background. So then I'm going to take just another little bit of that vellum and we're going to cut that down so that it will cover that hole. And then I need to mark the center of my circle because that's where I'm going to put my one light. So the one light has two pieces. Now this is a 5-pack. Obviously I've been using the heck out of those. So I'm going to break that apart and you put your battery back in there. You just line it up with the plus and it's that easy. Now because I will not be able to access that battery very easily, this is going to be one of those cards that I'm going to have to hand off and not probably send in the mail because I can't keep the battery separated. It's just not going to be accessible. So I'll peel off the release paper of my rip and stick paper and then we can put our battery and our little mechanism right down on top of where that I put my dot. And then I'm going to use a little crafty glue friend around the back of the circle and we'll put that piece of vellum over the top of that. It's just going to soften it a little bit, not a whole lot. And then as you press, you can see how that works out. Now I'll peel off the release paper on the back of this, my doubled up ghost, and I'll stick that right over the top of our circle so his face is just kind of sticking through. And then I'm going to use some of the crafty glue friend to attach down our sentiment to the top. I just think that's so cute, spooky and sweet. Which, yeah, the ghost might be spooky, but it's also sweet with a little doily bottom. And then I need to bring in the Papercrafting Magic stamp set because we need to stamp the word push. Now, to a real scientific way that I'm doing it, I'm just going to hold it over the top, put my finger where the push would be, and then we'll just stamp push right on top of where my finger was. And it's pretty right on. So accurate. Next, I'll bring in some World's Best foam tape. This stuff is named accurately because it's pretty phenomenal. You can reposition it. Yes, you can reposition it. And because I said before, this is going to be one of those cards that I'll have to hand off rather than send through the mail, since I won't be able to separate the battery from the mechanism. I am not going to go real crazy with, making sure that nothing collapses in the center. Normally I would cover that battery pack up around really nicely just to make sure that it is good and secure, but I don't need to do that. And so now I'll peel off all that release paper, and yes, it does peel off that easily. This stuff is fabulous. And it was an accident, but I'll show you. Whoops, put it down wrong, peeled it away, and everything's fine. So now I'll start at the top, push that down, and there you go. And I'm going to take one of our little release paper ghosts, and I'm going to glue it on the inside. I figured, why not? Yes, it's white on white, but I think it's just enough. So I'll just take my crafty glue friend, glue that all around, or put all that glue all around the back of our little doily Dainty ghost, and that'll be the inside of our card. And I think it's cute. I like how it's just his face that lights up. And I know on camera it looks like a lot, but this card is just so cute. And I love how it turned out. And I hope you do too. If you liked it, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, big thanks for stopping by and spending time with me today. And I'll see you soon. Bye.